for joining us. Today, I have a very special interview. It is with my cousin, Alyssa Eberwine, an ICU nurse who has seen things that we cannot possibly even begin to fathom. And I invited her here to tell her story, to share her experiences, and most importantly, what we can learn from her experience. So hi, Alyssa. Thank you so much for being with me.
Hi, no problem. I'm very excited to be here.
So this is my cuz. I have to say that. It's super fun. I'm really excited about that. So, Alyssa, just take me a little bit through a day in the life, if you would.
Sure. So as an ICU nurse, or any nurse actually, most of us work 12-hour shifts and kind of winds up being more like 13 hours. So the day usually brings a lot of challenges, a lot of good things, a lot of teamwork. Our floor we can't do anything without teamwork, especially with, having the quarantine rooms. Most of our patients on the floor are in quarantine, but the hard thing about the quarantine rooms when you're working throughout the day is when you go in there, you can't really come out. So if you need little things like, I don't even know how many times as a nurse I run in and out of the rooms all day, grab this, oh, I forgot that, let me get that. So I'm knocking on the glass of the room or hitting my call light, and someone's coming and grabbing me whatever I need. And sometimes that can happen like 3 times while I'm in the room because I'm just thinking of other things that I should do. So, and yeah, that's really the day, is just running in and out of quarantine, where suiting up, suiting down.
Oh my gosh. So there's been a lot of discussion regarding PPE and equipment and the proper things that you have to wear. Can you speak a little bit about that and what that feels like? Is it a lot of layers? Is it hot? Is it uncomfortable? I mean, I personally don't really know what it entails. So I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about that.
We've made adjustments, but where I work, they're really great on providing what we need. So we wear an N95 mask, and then we wear a surgical mask over that to protect the N95 mask. So you pretty much have 2 masks on. And then not all of us, a lot of us wear a surgical cap that we wear all day. And then we wear like a face shield, so that goes on nice and over your face. And then I wear 2 gowns. I wear one that I tie in the back, and the one that I tie in the front, just to make all my upper body, my skin, my scrubs are closed and not exposed. So that's kind of the outfit. It does get very hot, especially, with ICU patients. You could get a patient from the ER who has not been intubated yet, who was doing okay, and all of a sudden they're crashing, and now you're in there for 2 hours. Intubating takes time to get the team there. So you're talking about team after team coming into the room while you're the primary nurse. Of course, you're not going to leave the room. So I think the most I've spent in a quarantine room so far is about 2.5 hours. Some of my colleagues have been in for like 5 hours. Which is just, it's hard. It's hard because you're literally breathing in your CO2. So, you tend to get like a little short breath. You usually come out of, like the other day, I was in a room for a long time. I came out of the room and I was like, oof, I feel like I just ran a marathon. So I always come out sweating. So no, I'm not, I'm in there a lot of hours because there's just sometimes so many things to do, but you'd be surprised how quickly time passes when you're literally saving someone's life. Time just like flies.
These stakes are so high. So you're talking about wearing all of this equipment and being on your feet for 2.5 hours. And a lot of people are thinking, okay, I have that in my job. But you just said something that was really impactful. You are saving someone's life. It's not you're giving out a Pepsi over here, it's the stakes are so high. Do you feel that pressure, or are you just in work mode?
I think sometimes, both, I would say. Sometimes I do feel that pressure, especially, as an ICU nurse, you can start to almost see what's coming. but you do feel that like adrenaline rush, like, oh my gosh, like I need to move. I need to move. There's no time to think about, I'm thirsty right now. I am a little hungry right now. My sugar feels a little low. Like when you know it's game time, it's game time pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, from your description, everybody's stepping up.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Yeah.
stepping up, and it
Yeah.
doesn't seem to me that there's a lot of questioning. There's a lot of hesitation. There's a lot of ambiguity. It's just, we're doing what we need to do to save lives.
Yeah. Besides the, the mental portion that comes with it of taking care of sick patients and all of that, I could not be more thankful and gracious and for the team that we have. Like we truly kick ass. Like we do it every day. The teamwork is incredible. The doctors are incredible. Nothing gets missed. It's amazing, and that makes me want to go to work.
And Alyssa, I feel like it will continue that bond that you're creating, because no one can understand what you guys have been going through, will go through. No one has experienced it, and no one can understand it. It's only you. So it's the core together that has that understanding and that experience.
Yeah, I think that's for sure true. I think I've said to you before, like I can explain to you what it's like. I can explain to my husband what it's like, my family, but it still doesn't truly put into perspective, like how intense it truly is.
What have you learned about yourself in this experience?
I've learned I am one strong nurse. I actually have texted my preceptor. I always looked at him as like the ultimate nurse. Like he knew how to be independent when needed. He knew what his patients needed. He had everything like that. And I text him all the time. I'm like, thank you for just like teaching me how to like be that independent, smart, like know what to do nurse. And I think that's like what I've learned most about myself is that I'm actually a really strong nurse, and I just love all the skills that I've learned from this.
So one thing we were talking about though that I wanted to share is that some people don't know that when you get admitted with COVID, you're alone. No one can come with you, right?
No one. No, and it's not even COVID patients. It is all patients. All patients, even if you are not in for COVID or symptoms of that, it's all patients. Yeah.
And no one can come in throughout the duration that you're in the hospital, correct?
No one. Nope.
Is that really hard?
It is. Obviously, it's probably harder on families than us, but it definitely brings a component to us because we are not only the nurse, we're a hand to hold, we're support, we're family, we're someone to cry with, we're literally everything. So it's not just a physical job for us or a job. It's, we are all of those other components to a person. One where I was the person who held a patient's hand as they took their last breath. I've done that. It was a COVID positive patient. She was an older woman. Of course, family was not there. They're not allowed to be. My patient was close to passing away, and I went in there and I held her hand, and I talked to her about Jesus, and I prayed for her that she would go to heaven, and it was extremely emotional, and I cried, and I could cry now. But that's our job. Our job is to take care of those who can't take care of themselves, and that includes dying. I mean, for me, that's, not every nurse is going to do that, but me and my heart, I can't sit outside a glass door and watch a woman die by herself. No. That's not me. So, I took that emotional burden on myself, because that becomes an emotional burden onto yourself. And I stayed in the room with her.
I'm sure it was probably not the easiest day. And then there's another day when you have a young mother, perhaps, or a young, someone that beats it, and you feel like that triumph.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we had 2 of our patients get the plasma, and we got to watch them leave, and we clapped and cheered, and they looked awesome, and we sent them off to rehab, and we all cried, and they're home now, and that feels amazing. That's the best part of the job for sure, reuniting people with their families. And we have done that many times, but sometimes it's hard to see the positive over the negative.
You guys really are the front line of this war. If we were in a war and there was an army, nurses, doctors, the whole healthcare workers, you're in the front of it. And I don't know if you guys acknowledge that. I know I've called you a hero and you don't want to hear that. And most people say that. They're like, I'm not a hero, I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
But it's really phenomenal to me. And I think that it's kind of mind-blowing that you probably never thought you would be put into this position.
Never.
And now all of a sudden, you are the most important industry in our entire country and the whole world.
Yeah. The recognition is pretty mind-blowing. It's like indescribable. I don't think I've ever felt so like humbled, so thankful. Like it's I didn't sign up to be in, most people who sign up for war, they sign up because they want to. I signed up to be a nurse. I didn't sign up to be in a pandemic, but like I said, I learned it in school. I probably didn't listen to the topic, and here we are. And that's the craziest part. No, I didn't sign up to be a nurse to be in a pandemic and to do this. And when I became an ICU nurse, I didn't think, oh, I'm going to be an ICU nurse so I can be the front lines of a pandemic. You don't obviously think that way, and here we are.
I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, as well as healthcare workers that every single day are going into these long hours, exhausting. Your families are at risk, of course, health-wise. You're at risk health-wise. That's a given. But then you have your families that are exposed as well. That also is another risk. And it's just, it's so impressive to me that you get up every single day and you go to work and you do this day in and day out and you save people's lives every single day. Do you ever think about not going into work or changing careers or anything? Has this pandemic had a mindset shift at all?
Not at all. No, not at all. Not at all. Like I said, I love what I do. Yes, this is an extremely different circumstance than obviously we all would like, but I do love the critical care aspect. I love what you can do in this day and age to keep someone alive and get them back with their families. I mean, the most incredible feeling to see, to watch my patient after a month on a ventilator get on a stretcher to go to rehab, and to see her husband over, probably 10 feet away, because technically she still was positive, going to rehab, to see him 10 feet away and to see them lock eyes for the first time. It's just like, that is the stuff that I live for. And that's why I'm a nurse and an ICU nurse, and I'll take the bad with all of it. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. It's been difficult for me. I don't think I've cried this much in my career. Not to be all sad and depressing, but I don't think I've cried this much. I've had some really emotional moments where I've just had to let it out. But I wouldn't change my career at all.
See, that's why you're a hero, my friend and my cousin. That is why, because it hasn't even occurred to you that, this is too hard, or I can't do it, or I don't want to do it. I mean, it's just, you're almost fueled by the positive reactions and the positive outcomes. What message do you have for the public as a nurse?
I think that, my biggest message is that we're going to get through it. We're going to be on the other side at some point. What you can do for me is stay home. You can stay home and just make the best out of this. Find the good in why you're home. Maybe you're, rebuilding relationships, finding something new about yourself. We have to find the good in all of this and cling to it. And also like to not be afraid to speak up if you don't feel good and you are struggling at home. You need to be able to speak up and talk to someone about that, and know that, you know, you're not alone. There's a lot of people going, obviously we're all going through this, but I think that's just the biggest message, is just continue to do what we need to do to get through this, and we will get through it. I do believe we will get through it.
I think if there's any message that I would want to share about the nursing industry, is that's what it's all about, is caring. You went into this industry, you went into this career because you care about people.
Yeah.
And we as a public, if I can speak for every other human being in the entire world, are so thankful for people like you, because it truly is mind-blowing, awe-inspiring, and just such a wonderful, wonderful thing to witness. So thank you, Alyssa.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. And I just, you know, I don't know, you know, I know how many people are also struggling being home with this and want things reopened and want to keep moving. You know, but truthfully, they're not the only ones struggling. You know, nurses are struggling, doctors are struggling. We're all struggling mentally on a different level. And none of us ever thought we would go through this, you know. So we just all need to keep like hanging in there and holding on, and you know, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Alyssa. Thank you for the time. Thank you for being an amazing, caring, wonderful individual. You're an incredible nurse. You're a wonderful cousin. And you're just an absolutely phenomenal human being. So thank you so much for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you. And for you too. Thank you for having me and talking this out. I wouldn't talk it out with anybody else.